I'm going to make this quick because I'm so ready to be done with this series, and I only finished it because, as I said before, I'm a completist. But episode 5 of Amazing Stories, The Rift, probably either the first or second best episode for my money, but that's not saying much because I didn't see anything amazing in this entire series. It was all pretty mediocre and cribbed from better stuff. But this one, they had a plot that they introduced what the main idea was early. They didn't wait until the last 10 minutes of the episode to introduce the high concept. So that's something. Basically, for those of you who haven't seen the episode yet, what it is there's this pilot played by Austin Stowell from Catch-22. He played Nately in that series. And here he plays a pilot who is flying in Burma, and he gets sucked in through some kind of thing. I mean, they don't really explain it. They call it the Rift, and they don't really explain where it came from, but, that's nothing new for this series. They never explain anything. And he finds himself in meeting up with Kerry Bishe and her stepson, and her husband was a pilot, and he died, and now this pilot has come through the rift to replace the pilot that she lost. Sorry, this writing is so cliched and very, very on the nose. There's even a scene where Austin Stowell's character points out that she lost a pilot and that he's a pilot, just in case the viewer missed it. But they want to make sure that you realize how brilliant they were in constructing this story. Anyway, Kerry Bishe, I really liked her in *Halt and Catch Fire*, and she isn't given that much to do here, but she does with it what she can. Edward Burns is kind of, if you watched my review of episode 4, he's kind of like Josh Holloway's character in that episode, in that he's just kind of reactive, he's just kind of there. You would think the episode would be focused on him from watching the trailers and stuff, but he's this guy who shows up and he basically takes over for the police and says, yeah, this guy who flew through the rift, well, we have to get him and everything that came in with him back, or something terrible is going to happen. No explanation of why, but that's just the breaks. So basically, it's all the things that you would expect to happen in a time travel story. No one believes the character at first, and then, just like in episode 1, The Cellar, they become finally convinced because of photographic evidence, a photograph that shows him in 1939. So they finally believe him after far too long. You'd think that it would be pretty easy to see he's telling the truth based on a number of factors, but it takes them way too long to believe him, and once they finally believe him, it becomes a quest for him to see his wife, who it turns out is still alive. So, this show really feels like it should be on network television. You don't really feel like you should be paying money for it. But it's not because of the actors or the production values. They're all adequate, but the writing just is pretty average at best. And without going into spoilers, this episode, like I said, I think it held together better than the first 4 episodes. I felt like it at least wrapped up in a satisfactory fashion, but it's just they're not good enough writers to develop characters and to develop a story in 50 minutes. Like Black Mirror, you have to be impressed with how quickly they make you feel for these characters and how quickly they make you get all caught up in their story, and here they just don't really accomplish that. They crib some things from movies that I could name, although at risk of spoilers. They crib some stuff from Avengers Endgame and to do with Captain America's plotline. And essentially, I felt like the best element of the episode was the relationship between Austin Stowell's character and he kind of forms a father-son relationship with the young child of Kerry Bishe that she's been taking care of. It wasn't really like a story, because when you look at where the characters were at the beginning of the episode and who they were at the beginning of the episode, they're the exact same person at the end of the episode. The only thing that has really changed is circumstances. And they haven't really changed internally. It's not like you can say, well, that obstacle caused this person to grow into this. It's like it's just an obstacle that they get around and nothing really changes, especially for the pilot, who I think is probably the best character. I feel like fish out of waters are always pretty likable, and he is the ultimate fish out of water. But we've seen this done in other things. We've seen it done with Captain America in the Marvel movies. We've seen it done with Blast from the Past. We've seen it done a number of times, and this is just doesn't really take a lot of time to play with the concept. It's just too rushed and too generic to be that good. So that's my thoughts about episode 5 of Amazing Stories: The Rift. I wasn't a big fan of this and won't be back for season 2. So if you like what I'm doing here and you want to see more videos like this one, please subscribe.